Pedro Ramos Perez. I remember a lot of things about my hometown. I remember that. We were poor. It's closer with every one of them, though. We sort of were trying to stick together because we need each other, though, to survive. My mother was expectant when my father died. I only got two memories of my father. Day died, somebody picked me up, and because over there when you lay out in the coffin, they just close, and they just got a little mirror where you can see their face. You can see his face, and somebody, relative or friend of ours or whatever, picked me up and they said, "See your father?" And then that's the last time I saw it, though. And then another part of the memories that I have, there was some kind of a hot spring showers across the street where we live, because we used to live in Puebla. You know, it's down the south of Mexico City. We used to go, all of us, whatever in the family, they have to they take like a swimming, on the little pools. And I remember him, kind of spray water at me, and I was crying to my mother. And that's why maybe I was 2.5 or 3 years old, somewhere there. And when he was messing around, he was grown up, and he was kind of teasing me, made me cry. And I crawled to my mother, and I know that she embraced me. And that's all the two memories that I have of my father. I moved around a lot, though, When I was only 14 years old when they were making the Pan American Expressway, and I worked in a shop. And when they finished the highway up to Aguascalientes, they had to move north. So I went with them to Zacatecas, and we were working in the camp area, with a tent and so forth. And they paid me a little more. And you're weak, you're young. So I was kind of getting paid every 10 days. And I used to go out and drink with the boys, and they told me, come on, we take care of you. You don't have to spend no money, though. But I realized that I was going the wrong way. So one day I just got up and I said, I gotta go back to my hometown. So I went back. Then years on, and I met your grandma. Fell in love with her. And then, I was going on 19 when I met him, and and I fell really in love with her. So by the time I met her in December, and in 51, October the same year, we were married, and we were married 7 o'clock in the morning, and I left her. They're coming over here to this country. I was 19 then. There was a tradition, that they pray the rosary, and then you sing a little, and you got the pilgrims, the Blessed Mother and Saint Joseph, asking for a place to for an inn. And then I met her in one of those places, and I just fell in love with her. That's it. And as a matter of fact, she was at school with my younger sister. And then my younger sister used to tell me, there was a girl there that, that talks about me, though, that he likes me, meet me. And I never paid attention because but I was working at the same time, and they had girlfriends and so forth. And with girlfriends, yeah, because I used to go every night and whistle, and they come out and we talk. But I respect every one of them, though, and I never do any damage to any of the girls. Though. And some of them, they say they fell in love with me, but I never did. Grandma came, and I really came down to me, though. So, September the 52, I wanted to get married, and I was only 19. And I asked her if she would marry me, but I had to come into this country. Trying to make a living and maybe bring it over here, because she was born in here, but was raised in Mexico. I mean, we were in love. I mean, real love, because there was no desire for her. I mean, it was just to see her, to see her. I mean, it was my happiness, all, you know. See her every day. I go over by her house, and whistle, you know, we know, like, you know, like a signal. And I whistled to Grandma, and she came down. That's it. And she said that I was there at the street. So she came out the door, and we stayed at the door about an hour or two. Then her mother called her in, and then I went back home. And that was going like that except for 11 months. October the 14th, that was a great day. We married 7 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock, I was on my way to the United States. I was in 55 or 54. They told us the version still, you know, the immigration was going to come to check everybody, you know, if it was legal. So when your father was born, I don't want to use the insurance that we had it from the company, though, because I wanted to be born with my own name. At the job, I was still Ernesto Cáceres. So your father was born, so I went to the, you know, where you enlist for the army and registered. What is it? I was close to 20, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that was one way, I mean, that I can stay here because I didn't have no money to go. 3 months later, they called me in, you know, for active duty. I told your grandma, I said, well, we got to go to Mexico, get my papers fixed. So with the little money that I had in the little car, I got my things and we packed everything and whatever we could. It took me about 6 months. 6 months to get my paper fixed. But in the meantime, the FBI was looking for me because I was a deserter. He said, we don't care about your name, Pedro Ramos. He says, we know that we find you here, but your crime is that you ran away from the army. We already know who you are, really who you are and everything else, so we have to take you in. I went there, I registered myself, and then again, for active duty. But then I went to the office there and says, well, I can't go. I just got here and my wife, she was suspecting PD already. He said, well, why don't you get a medical certificate from your doctor there? But you need to be here, I mean, to take care of your wife and so forth. So my classification was 1A. So I got from the doctor's office, I got the letter and I showed it to them. So they let me go. Next year, the following year, same thing. But then I had Alex. So every year was putting one boy, one more in the family, until I became 25 years old. I was overage. Then they never called me again. And that's the way it was. But I mean, when you're young, I mean, you got the energy, you know, you put out with anything. And on top of that, I mean, I had the love of my wife because we love each other till the end. For 25 years. But I don't know how it is, amiguita, but when you're young and there's a love involved, you can do anything, though, especially if you got a faith, you know, faith on God. If you have faith on God, you know, you can do anything because you got a lot of energy when you're young, you know. And that's how they went in my life. Just to be alive is the most rewarding thing, the more gift thing from God, though. You know, give you life, give you family, and each one of them, they had their own, you know, their own hope. That was the same kind of feeling in each one of them. As far as the happiness is concerned, I was happy every time that it happened. Because in my way of thinking of life, being as a family, and I try to be an example to follow to all my kids. All I got is pray for them, though. Because I can't fix their problems, but they got to fix their own problems. Because they're all grown up, and I can be like, you know, when they were little kids, and I grab them by the hand. But they came to a certain age, well, you can do nothing about it, though. All you can do, I mean, if they ask you for an advice, you give to them. They take it all right. If they don't, it's up to them, though. Because the one thing that they're not going to take it away from us is that we pray for them, though. I'm not meant to be rich, that God was generous to me. But I mean, as you get old, I mean, you're content, to what you have. All your life is sort of a period of adjustment, though. You see, you got to get the idea, that love is just not the desire, though, It's the give. God is the give, though. And you always trying, to make the other people happy because, see, you got more joy than give than to receive. See, and that's what I told all these new parents and so forth. They see what you kids, you wanted to do so many things in life that you were doing the same thing with your kids now. But the one thing that you fail them to do, you fail them to teach them how to give. Because the kids become so idolatrous, with the ego, the I first, and that's it. There is no doubt about it. I mean, there is nobody else more important than myself. Because in giving, it's a little sacrifice sometimes, though. But it's paid off in the long run, though. Because you got more satisfaction, though. Because if you get everything that you wanted, though, you become a spoiled brat. And then you grow up and to be a spoiled brat, with your husband or your wife or whatever, though. So you want them for yourself only. Because you're always thinking about yourself, you're not thinking about nobody else. And that's not the way to do it, though. They can't express love the way it's supposed to be. And another thing is envy. Envy, that you envy a certain person because they got, a lot of things that you wanted to have. But there's not happiness, because those things are past. They're past, and then you want something else. But you have that on the tip of your tongue. I want this here. I want that, and I want this here. Always, most of the people. There's a lot of good people in this world. After all, there's 2 billion people or more. There's 2.5 billion. So I don't know where God's going to put them all in. Well, the universe is infinite. But the bad thing that don't try to make fun out of it. There are other people, that kind of feel, like you're the Leon, that you got this girl, this boy, fell out with me, and I play around with him, though. Never play around with feelings, though. If you got any feelings, just make sure that you feel that corresponded, though, the same way. Don't ever go by looks or desire, or it's just whatever is on your heart. That what counts. That's what make it last for a long time. I know you're gonna made mistakes and make that other people suffer, and that other people make you suffer you. But it's sort of some kind of a period of adjustment, though. Make sure that you got a stable love within your heart in order to get a good relationship. Yeah, and it keeps you happy, though. The van that I was going out with the guys, and we went to this houses, where the girls are and so forth. And there was my turn, and I was already married, though. It was my turn to go in there, actually paying for it, And it was so difficult, to make a decision. That I just got up and walked out. And I feel release, after I hit the streets. Say, I'm glad I didn't do it. Times, and I had a few times in my lifetime that I had to make the decision, not to be, to be with another woman. And that was hard, though, because like I told you, flesh is weak. But once you walk away from it, you feel good, though. And, not because I'm a saint or the other girls are saint. This is something that's out there in the world, and temptation, that kind of temptations. And I got up and I got this guilty, feeling, that I was doing something wrong. I ended up in a church, 5 o'clock in the morning in the church. and somebody says that they haven't sinned, he's a liar. A lot of things that you're gonna go through life, Mita. You gotta hold yourself to pray, Mita, pray. As I tell them that make sure that the people that you pick to be your husband or wife, make sure that you love her or love him. Real love is what stays in there for you forever, till the day you die. Take it or leave it, Mita.